Yeah, hello. In this video, let us discuss a little bit about Agile project management. I'm recording this video for my students who have just completed iteration 5 and moving on to iteration 6. So in the PMdistilled course, till iteration 5, we are talking about predictive project management. And iteration 6, 7, and 8, we are moving on to Agile project management. So here, when you try to understand Agile project management after understanding predictive project management, a mindset change is required. And that is the intent of recording this particular video. In predictive project management, predominantly we do end-to-end planning, and the style of working is mostly command and control, whereas the project manager or the project management team explains how things must be done in the form of a schedule, and the team just follows the schedule. Whereas in Agile project management, it is more, the focus is on collaboration. That means here we are talking about self-organizing teams. What need to be accomplished is defined, and how to make it happen, that is decided by the team. So here we are talking about self-organizing team. So the team decides how to do things. So we don't have a predefined roles and responsibilities and stuff like that. In most of the Agile models, we have hardly 3 roles. Let us take Scrum. We have the Scrum Master. When I say Scrum is one of the most popular Agile frameworks. So most of my discussions to explain Agile will be through Scrum. Otherwise, we'll be discussing a lot of things, and you may not have clarity. Since Scrum is the most popular framework, most of the terminologies I'll be using to explain Agile to you will be from Scrum. So if you take Scrum, it has just 3 roles. We have the product owner, we have the Scrum Master, and we have the development team. The product owner is the person who manages the requirements, and the Scrum Master is the person who ensures that the work is happening as per the Agile principles and framework, or as per Scrum framework. And there is a development team which is a cross-functional team which comprises of architects, engineers, project managers, architects, engineers, maybe QA guys. So here this is a team of people with some core competence who are really required to convert the requirements into the increment of the product. So only 3 roles: product owner, the person who manages the requirements. Then we have the Scrum Master, who is more like a project manager but with a servant leadership mindset. And then we have a development team. It is a team which really builds the product or converts the requirements into the product. And the team decides how to really do things. You give them the requirements, they will estimate, they will decide the engineering steps involved, and they will estimate, and they will decide who will work on what. That is about self-organizing teams. Then scope evolution. In the predictive project management, always our focus is to define the scope very clearly at the beginning of the project itself, then decompose it into a work breakdown structure, then bill of quantities and estimation and stuff like that. Whereas in the Agile world, it is assumed that the scope is going to change. Typically, or in those kind of projects only, Agile gives us maximum value. So if you take a construction project, now it has an engineering phase where different engineering disciplines like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or piping, and the structural engineers, and air conditioning, they sit together and come out with the detailed specifications during the engineering phase. And when they do this, the scope is getting evolved. So you start with very high level definitions, and when we do the detail engineering, the scope evolves. And it is a collaboration across different disciplines, because there can be a lot of dependencies among these disciplines. So in those kind of a scenario, Agile is the right fit. So we are not looking at exact definition of scope. We may have a high level definition. So even before starting the engineering phase of an EPC project, we may have the master document list, but then these documents are not done. It is just a master repository or master list of MDL. Master document list is prepared. So in Agile, similarly, we have a product backlog. The set of things that need to be done, that is the product backlog, which is allowed to grow as the project progresses. Similarly, this MDL, the master document list, is also allowed to grow. So that is the fertile space within a predictive project management where Agile methodologies can be adopted. Then servant leadership. As a servant leader, you groom your people, you support them to get things done, and whenever they face issues, you resolve it. You ensure that they have the right tools, the right equipment, the right training, and your focus is on problem solving so that the team's productivity remains high. So you are more of a servant, and after becoming a servant only, you become a leader. So that is the servant leadership. And then we have non-negotiability of time, because in the Agile world, scope is negotiable, team sizes are negotiable, but then our cost is negotiable, scope is negotiable. The only thing that is non-negotiable is time. By this, what we are saying is, okay, now we take a bucket of time, that is for next 30 days time, what all things we can do, and you plan it. But on the 30th day, you have to demonstrate what you have done. So maybe you have decided to complete, let us say, 20 drawings in 15 days' time, and on the 15th day, you do a review. So you might have done, out of these 20 drawings, you might have done maybe only 15. So you cannot ask for additional time. On the 20th day, you stop the iteration and then take stock of how much you have done. So 20 cannot become 22. So you were supposed to do 20, you would have done only 15. That is okay. So planned achieved scope is not equal to planned scope. That is okay in Agile. But in order to make it 20, you cannot ask for more time. Then changes are welcome even late in the project. So this is okay. This is inevitable. So Agile starts with the notion that changes are inevitable, changes will happen, and we have to adapt to include the changes. So that is the right mindset. Here the challenge is, if you have to adopt changes even late in development, then the methodology used should support it. Now let us say you are in the engineering phase of an EPC project, but if you are maintaining manual drawings and stuff like that, you cannot change things that fast. So you will have to use tools for commenting and version control and automated tools which will AutoCAD, which will facilitate the incorporation of changes very quickly. Otherwise, it will remain on a sheet of paper. So if it is an IT project, your architecture should be so modular so that you should be able to incorporate changes pretty easily. Otherwise, this will remain as a concept, because if the architecture doesn't support frequent changes, then you are in trouble. And the whole all agile stuff, they increment the product. That means they don't do a big bang release at the end of the project. In the traditional project management, in the predictive thing, we might have planned the project, the schedule is prepared, and within that we have milestones. These milestones may be happening, let us say, at some intervals, and maybe at the end of the project only the customer will see the product. Whereas in Agile, we break it into iterations, and each iteration can be around 30 days, or it cannot be more than 30 days, it is lesser than 30 days. 15 days iterations or 30-day iterations, the team can decide. And at the end of every 30 days, there is a formal review of what is being done, and if required, the increment of the product is demonstrated to the key stakeholders so that we can incorporate changes incrementally. That way, these functional risks are managed, and even the technology risks are managed incrementally. Whereas in the traditional project management, towards the end only you give a demo, and it may create a lot of surprises for the stakeholders. Whereas in Agile, everything is incremental. So customers or the key stakeholders get multiple opportunities to interact and see the product as it evolves. And another key mindset in Agile, which is different from traditional project management, is in predictive project management, every slippage or every failure is not that welcomed. Whereas in the Agile world, or in true Agile world, fast failures are always welcome. Because if you fail fast, let us say you have planned an iteration for 30 days. So instead of failing on the 30th day, if the 10th day itself, if you fail, that means we can correct it. We have 20 days to correct it. Or out of 20 iterations to complete the entire product, if we fail in the early iterations, then that means, okay, we get more time to recover from it, to implement the corrective actions. But if you get to know these failures very late, then it becomes very difficult to bring in corrections, and even if you do the corrections, that is going to be expensive. So in the Agile world, fast failure is appreciated, or must be appreciated. The team culture should be that. Whereas in the predictive styles, if you say fast failure is good, sometimes people can take it sarcastically, or they don't understand the right spirit behind it. And where is Agile used? Agile is used where the requirements are not very clear, or they are bound to change, and the technology is also very new to the team. In those environments, Agile will give the best results. The rest, if the requirements are very clear and the technology is also very familiar, then the team will be able to estimate things properly. In that case, traditional project management is better. And when we try to do both together, both predictive and Agile together, that becomes hybrid project management. So I believe that I've given you an overall idea about the cultural paradoxes or cultural clashes between predictive and Agile. And with this understanding, I request you to start with iteration 7, and when you complete iteration 8 of the PMdistilled program, things will be very clear to you. But then whatever we learned from iteration 1 to 5, that was for predictive project management, that is done. That you please keep it aside. Now we are learning something new or different. So let us learn that without any hangover from the predictive project management, because predictive project management is always good for projects where scope is very clear and the technology is also very clear to the team, and they have done it multiple times in the past, and the domain doesn't allow for change. That means for civil engineering, changes are very expensive. Whereas Agile is for those projects where scope is just evolving and technology is not familiar to the team, and the ease of change is not very expensive, like software products, websites, maybe the engineering phase of a construction project. It can be easily changed. So those kind of projects or phases within projects, Agile is applied. And Agile revolves around highly collaborative team, self-organizing team, scope evolution, and non-negotiability of time, and welcoming changes even late in the project, iterative in nature, and the organization should support fast failures. With this, I welcome you to iteration 7, 8, and 9. I am recording this video based on a request from one of my students, Mr. Joseph. I was supposed to have a meeting with him today, which I could not do. So instead of the meeting, I'm recording this video with the hope of reusing it so that maybe multiple people can benefit from it. So if you also have some questions, you can request for a video and maybe post it as a comment or send us an email or use the contact form and request for a lesson. We can immediately schedule the recording of a video around that topic and post it in this channel so that we can promote a kind of collaboration between the tutors and the learners. So that will be wonderful. Thank you very much.